Hi guys! So I finally finished exams, so my second year is now over. My last exam was 2 days ago, so now I have like 2 weeks of freedom until summer school starts. But until then, I'm going to be making videos about U of T and kind of answering all the questions that I get in the comments, because I feel like a lot of people have questions about the U of T campus, my first year residences and the programs at U of T and kind of how that works. I'm going to start off with making a video about the University of Toronto campus and kind of my experience with it. So I have like a pros and cons list here on my iPad. I have a lot to say, but I'm going to try and keep it condensed because I don't want to make this too long-winded, because I get a lot of comments about the campus at U of T and how it's like really big and kind of impersonal. So I go to the University of Toronto St. George campus, so I can't really talk about the Mississauga or Scarborough campuses because I've only really been to the Scarborough campus one time, and it was before I even started U of T. So I did choose the St. George campus, so that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So I guess I'll start off with the positive aspects of the U of T campus. So first off, the U of T campus is so big. It's, I think, the biggest campus in Canada. If you're a first year student and you're living on residence, you're always going to have something to do. There are so many buildings, cafes, and libraries and study spots. So if you like to study on campus or in libraries or around people, then you'll definitely always find somewhere to be. Robarts is, I think, open either really late or 24/7. I don't know, because I've only been to Robarts a few times because I hate libraries. I hate studying around people. I need to study like in my house, in my room, on my own. I can't really talk about the study spots individually, but I do know that there are so many spots to go and study and you'll never be bored. There's always something to do because you're literally in the middle of Toronto. You're only like a few subway stops away from Union if you're at like Queen's Park or St. George. And that's another really positive thing about the U of T campus. It has a lot of subway stops in between it. Spadina, St. George, Museum, Queen's Park. The ones that I usually use are St. George, Museum, and Queen's Park because that's kind of where my classes are. But Spadina is also really close, and then line 2 is connected to Spadina and St. George, so if you need to go like east and west, it's right at St. George, which is basically the middle of campus. Another thing that's really good about the U of T campus is that because it's so big, there's so many residences. So I was at Wordsworth College residence in my first year and I really enjoyed it. It was during COVID, so I didn't really get to do much and I didn't really make many friends because all my classes were online and everyone kind of just stayed in their rooms and a lot of stuff was like closed. But if you are first year, U of T has a first year residence guarantee, so you'll be on residence in one of the 7 colleges. Colleges are they're all honestly in really great locations. Mostly they are pretty close to subways, so that's also a positive aspect of the residence at U of T. Another thing is that once you're done your first year and you might not be on like a U of T college residence anymore, because of U of T's location in Toronto, there are a lot of options for student housing and off-campus living. Another really great thing, in my opinion, this is probably biased because I'm a life science student, so if you're like pre-med or you're thinking of doing graduate studies in like a science-based stream, interested in the medical field in general, the U of T campus is very, very, very close to all the hospitals in Toronto, like Toronto General, Princess Margaret, Sick Kids, a bunch of research towers, and I actually volunteer in one of the research towers. There's a bunch of different hospitals and opportunities that I think are really great for life sci or health sci students wanting to get into research or do their graduate studies or get shadowing positions in a lot of the hospitals. So because of U of T's location, I feel like it's very convenient to do all of that volunteer work or shadowing or student internships during the semester because it's so close to the campus and you don't have to like commute far to a different hospital because they're all like basically on campus. So those were like the 4 main pros or like positives about the U of T campus that in my opinion I think are really good. But there are also a lot of negatives which you have to take into consideration if you're considering accepting University of Toronto. So first of all, I know that I said the U of T campus is really big and that was one of the positives in my opinion, but I also think that the aspect of having such a big campus can also be a negative, because sometimes it can be too big. With that too big of a campus idea, that comes with like having to either run to class or be like 10-15 minutes late to class. Even though U of T does have U of T time, which is if your class starts at 1, it actually doesn't start until 1:10 to give you a chance, if you have a back-to-back class, to actually walk to the class because it's so far away, because the campus is so big. But even with that U of T time and that 10-minute grace period, like before your class actually starts, I think that you're still either running to your class if it's back-to-back and they're far, or just gonna walk fast and be like late anyway, even if you leave 10 minutes early from your other class. So you have to take that into consideration when you're choosing your courses. But for first year courses, there's not many options for locations, so it's kind of just like you get what you get. In my first year, I had to take the subway because like between my back-to-back classes for first semester, because they were so far away from each other. They were literally on opposite ends of the campus, and even though I had to wait for the subway, which took longer, it took me less time to take the subway than it would have to walk or even like run to class. I never actually ran to class because that's like, I don't know, kind of weird. I felt like weird running with my backpack on, so I'd either subway or walk really fast and still be late. Another kind of bad thing about the U of T campus, or I think just Toronto in general, is that the TTC is very unreliable, and it can also be kind of dangerous. It's a little bit like sketchy. If you commute by the subway, I would definitely say leave early. There's always stops. The subway goes slow, especially on line 1, and there's always delays. It's just a bad system. So if you're like going from like St. George to Queen's Park, that's fine. But if you're going like beyond the U of T campus, like 20 stops away, I would definitely give yourself extra time. So I think the main thing I want to address in the negatives about the U of T campus is how it can be really impersonal at times. I got a comment on one of my videos about this and about the U of T campus and how you just like feel really small because it's so big. And I do have to agree with that comment. I think it can be really impersonal, but I think it really depends on the person. For me, I don't have that impersonal experience because I think if you're an introvert and you're academically inclined, it won't be as big of a deal. But if you're very extroverted, I think that that's also okay, because there are a lot of clubs and sports teams and like memberships that you can do. Oh my gosh, sorry, my dog. It's really how you make most of your friends. You don't really make friends in classes. Even tutorials, you can make friends in tutorials, but I didn't really make many friends in classes. I didn't really make many friends in tutorials, I think just because of the competitive nature of my program. Especially in the winter and during midterm season and exam season, it's like, it's cold, classes are far away, so everyone's like trying to get to their classes on time. Everyone's stressed out about either exams or midterms, and I think just because of the size of the campus, there's so many people that you do kind of feel alone, or you feel like really small in this like big area. It doesn't really impact me that much, but I think that can impact you depending on the person that you are. So I think that's definitely something to consider if you're wanting to come to U of T St. George, that it's really big and it can be super impersonal. But yeah, that's basically all I have for today. I think that when making a decision about coming to U of T, I think that you should definitely consider the campus. If you kind of want that more intimate community kind of feeling, there's some other like Ontario universities that are more like that. But if you really enjoy being in the big city, if you can be introverted and you're okay just going to classes and studying and making friends but not being in like really big groups, if you don't join clubs or anything, then I think you should be okay at U of T. It really just depends on the person you are and your preferences and kind of what you want out of the university experience. I really like the U of T campus. I think that if you join clubs and if you join sports teams and you are extroverted and make friends in tutorials and in your classes, then I don't really think that big, not intimate feeling of the campus will affect you as much. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope that you kind of got some more insight into what the St. George campus at the University of Toronto is like. Let me know if you have any questions or you want me to address anything else about the campus or just U of T in general. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye!